to the July Homeowners Association Board of Directors meeting, monthly meeting. We've got probably a light agenda today, but we've got some significant things to discuss. So I'll just get right into it. I've got a couple of comments that, I've made these in the past.
Your mic's not working yet.
I know I've made these in the past, but they're important for us to keep in front of us and keep aware. We've just gone through the season of reestablishing our committee members, our memberships, and we've had real good participation in the sign-ups of the committees. As a matter of fact, we've had to limit some of the committees, but we've also increased some. So we're working toward having the ability to have as many members contribute to the committee system. And that's very interesting. Another thing that we need to keep in front of us is the diversity and the changing of the makeup of our community. One of the easy places for you to see that is when we have big membership gatherings. The most recent of which was the July the 4th parade and street dance, July the 4th eating or food. And that gives you an idea that we've got all ranges represented in our community. We've got from, just a baby all the way up to in the 80s and 90s. In order to service that change, and we can obviously see the growth in the community as well, and in order to service the changes and the growth in our community, it's more apparent through activities that the Sports and Recreation Committee are implementing. The things that I can think of is all of the activities at the PAC, at the archery range, pickleball, which nobody heard about, I think about 4 years ago, but that's getting to be awfully popular, and we're having to make arrangements for room for people to play that. We've added an outdoor court as well. The golf availability and the attention that has garnered, the walking trails, and other activities that we've added within the last 3 or 4 years. One of the things, the importance of this is pointed out. For the membership to be active, you can attend committee meetings if you're not a committee member. You can go to one meeting, you can go to 2 or 3 meetings. If you want to find out what's going on and what's happening in the community, that's a very, very good way to accomplish that. Usually, our new amenities, our additional amenities that we add into something like the PAC, come from various sources. One from the members directly, also from committees, from the management staff, the board, and in many cases, when it doesn't come from the committees, we'll route it back through a committee that is responsible for that type of activity so that they can study it properly and make recommendations on it. So committees, again, are very, very important. We have, as I mentioned, we had good participation in volunteer applications this year. And again, you don't have to be a committee member. You can attend the committee meetings and get a lot of benefit, a lot of knowledge through that process. So I think that's the end of my semi-sermon, I guess, for today. And we'll go right into our board agenda. The next item is our open session. I have one card here. You don't necessarily have to have a card, but it helps to keep us on track. But we have Bob Newton, is that right?
Correct.
Wanting to address the board and the audience today. Would you mind standing up at the microphone?
You had someone tall here. Yes, my name is Robert Newton, and what I want to address is, and give a little history to this, is over the past 3 years I've been fairly active in watching things progress in the Glen Rose Hospital. Well, the Glen Rose Hospital is so important to all of us here because it is associated with our Pecan Clinic. And as time goes on, the older we get, and there's so many senior citizens here, the most important thing to most of us is how we address our health and how quickly we get it taken care of. We have a wonderful EMS that's probably, you just can't find one that's as equal that I know of that does such a great job here. The hospital in Glen Rose, if this clinic goes away, and I think the two most important things to the people in this subdivision now are the pharmacy and the clinic. It used to be the liquor store, but we don't care about that much anymore. So it is a serious situation. There were some board members down there at Glen Rose Hospital that were doing their best to close it, and I got activated in the process of trying to stop that, and I think I helped quite a bit. And now we have some very good board members there for the hospital. I am a board member on the Roger Marks Foundation. That's an adjunct to the hospital that raises money for the equipment they might need and other things. Luminant, Energy Future Holdings, Comanche Peak, whatever you want to call the nuclear power plant, has been not paying their property taxes. Well, that revenue is 80% of the hospital's budget. Without that money, the hospital will go bankrupt. They have been in discussion with their attorneys to see if they have to go bankrupt and what avenue they would take. How does that affect you? Well, that means the clinic will close. In that clinic, then the doctors go away. I don't know, and I'd like to know in this room about how many people use the clinic or the doctors associated with Glen Rose Hospital. Okay, there's another hospital here, but it seems like the majority of us go that direction, and they do such wonderful service for us. I handed out in fine print, it's hard to read, for the board members. And this is, I asked Ray Reynolds, who's our hospital administrator down there, and Ray Reynolds gave me some of the important points of what's going on. The evaluation, and I'll try to be brief, so I don't know how much time I have, but it really is important for this group. The evaluation was $2.4 billion. Now it's been reevaluated to $2.2 billion. In the final analysis, they came back, they being Luminant, with a rendering of $300 million. We know that it takes approximately $15 to $20 billion to build a nuclear power plant. But since Luminant, or Energy Future Holdings, has taken this over, they have squandered a lot of money on so many different things. It didn't turn out like they thought it would. So they're fighting many other locations. But what's in our favor is that the judge declared that you, Luminant, owe the taxes on a $2.2 billion evaluation. So with that known, they again appealed it, and that appeal could take as long as 18 months. And what they're trying to do, and I'm just guessing, but I'm guessing right, is go ahead and bankrupt the hospital. They cannot survive 18 months. So we need to shine the light of this transgression on Luminant by first notifying everybody here in Pecan Plantation what the ramifications are, getting them to write senators, to write newspapers, to do whatever they can, because one thing they can't stand is bad publicity. I called CBS Channel 11 because I have some connections there, and they may send somebody out and we'll go over having them expose them on Channel 11. It's not a promise yet, but we're going to see if we can get that done. But that's just one thing. We got to keep poking the bear and keep going after them to have them pay the taxes. They also will bankrupt Somervell County. They need that money. They have built everything they've built upon the promise that the power plant would pay their taxes for the years to come. So a $2.2 billion evaluation is a modest evaluation for that property. Yet they know when they have the money to stall it in court until they get their way. And without the hospital there, of course, it won't be a demand. Again, hospital goes away, the clinic goes away. All right. Some have said, well, Granbury Hospital might buy the clinic eventually. Believe me, I can tell you, they're owned by community hospital systems out of Nashville. It will never be run as nicely and as professionally as what Ray Reynolds has run this organization. So that is my message to the board. It's my message to the citizens. Yes, sir?
Can you speak to what kind of a swindle entered the future was?
I'm not going to speak to that because I'm not going to lay myself out for liability to say that they swindled anything. I'm just going to say that if you know something, please say forth. But the thing is that we know that years ago they got in tremendous $40 billion of debt, I believe Lumen got into, and now they're digging their way out of it because at the time they bought it, they thought that, these were Wall Street guys, that they thought through hedge funds and everything that they had a hell of a bargain and they could raise the rates and really strip it out. So that's part and parcel of what all this is about. So now this is not turning out so good for them. And I think it's terrible that we have to suffer for that. But we have, how many citizens here? 5,000? 7,000. See, that's what happens when you go to bed at night. It is growing so fast. But what's great is that we have the power with all of these citizens here to get the word out that these people are doing us a great deal of wrong. Now, I asked Michael if I can write an open letter to the columns, and you said that I could, but it can't be political. This isn't political. And I'll try to get that put together in with Ray Reynolds, who's the hospital administrator, and see if we can put together a letter to notify everybody. If y'all have any ideas of how to notify the population here other than the columns, because not everybody, excuse me, reads it, then let me know. If y'all have other ideas of how to, that's the first thing that's got to happen is information. And get these people to understand what's going on.
Hey, Bob, I have a question for you. Okay, let's say things reverse and now they're evaluated again at $2.2 billion. What's the continuance of that? What's the long-term outlook? Are they trying to sell the facility? I'm not talking, that's what I'm talking about, the nuke plant. Are they trying to sell it? You know, it looks like this has to be sort of a 5 or 10 year plan somewhere so that the city can plan. Do you know what direction that may be going?
Well, that's a good question, and I think the answer is that no one knows what they're doing for long term. Let's say that Somervell County wins the lawsuit and the appraisal district gets their money. Because if you'll remember correctly, John, was it 3 years ago, they were going to put another addition onto the power plant. And whoops, here comes low gas prices. And now we're having, what is the name of this new one? Wolf Creek, yeah. Okay, a huge gas plant. So if Luminant could walk away from Comanche Peak, they would. But when you consider, when you decommission a nuclear power plant, you've got to spend about $5 to $7 billion. It is not an overnight situation. So I think what they're doing is marking time and putting the shaft to everybody they can wherever they own a power plant, because they now realized it's easier and cheaper with gas. Yes, sir.
Can I presume that you've contacted all Tarrant County media?
I just got started on this.
Okay. I may be help with the Star-Telegram. I'd be happy to make some comments.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Bob. Or whoever else can help. And, let's get together at my house and we'll conjure up a plan.
I have a question or two of Mr. Newton. How long have the taxes gone unpaid, and how has Somervell County and Glen Rose survived during that period?
Okay, good question. I think they have gone unpaid for about 6 months or longer. What is, again, good in our favor is the judge said, you owe those taxes, and for this good reason. And I believe Luminant knows they're going to lose in the final analysis. Plus, they must pay a 50% penalty. But they were ordered to put up a bond or to set aside money, and they haven't done that yet. So they're violating court order, is what they're doing. So we need to depict all of these facts, actual facts that they're doing that's in violation of the law, and then bring that to light. And I'm sorry, the other part of your question?
The other question was, who's spearheading the attempt to get this straightened out? Is it
Somervell
County?
It is Somervell County, because that is the taxing authority. So they collect the taxes, they give the pro rata share that the hospital gets every year, and then Somervell County keeps the rest of it. So they're starving two different entities at the same time.
Well, you said something about make sure we get the facts straight. Is there someone working on a fact sheet that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We have the attorney is out of Austin for the hospital, and Ray Reynolds, the administrator, gave me this brief information. Well, when we go on attack, we want to have our guns loaded with the exact information, so they cannot have a rebuttal that says, "Oh no, this isn't what's happening," and we will get that, I assure you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
What sort of support do you expect to get out of Granbury and Hood County?
I don't know. I do know of this being the largest gated community in the state of Texas, and the population that we have here is an amazing just size for that hospital that would help it. I don't know how many people in Hood County go out and use those facilities versus using Lake Granbury Hospital and all of that. I do know our EMS is very dependent, am I correct, Michael, on this clinic in Glen Rose Hospital. And God, we don't want to get entwined with community hospital systems, Lake Granbury thing.
Okay. Mr. Klass, do you have a question?
Yes, Mr. Newton, just to clarify, there was partial payment of taxes based on 980?
80 million, right. And then they lowered it to 300 million. So the partial payment of taxes, right. And you'll see a depiction on here without me going through all of them on the bottom of the page, which again, my computer, I don't know why it did this, printed it so tiny, but it states all of the things that the hospital has done to try to survive, which is really the morale of the doctors and the staff down there are about as low as you can get, because they fought a very sinister board group a couple of years ago, and now they got good board members. Now they're fighting this, and they're taking a 20% pay cut. They can't take vacations, da-da-da-da. Well, pretty soon they're going to throw up their hands and go, we just can't do this anymore. And
I appreciate, I'm sure the entire board appreciates you bringing this to our...
Well, thank you, thank you. So if we can afford maybe a little committee or something, of course, there's committees out there, whatever, but to get very active, and Bob, thank you for your suggestion of the Star Telegram, then let's do it. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Bob, you've got a comment?
I have a question. What court judge issued this order that you says has been issued to pay the taxes? What court was
Let me read the fine print, see if I can find his name. It is in here. And if one of y'all find it before I do.
Judge Neal,
Judge Neal,
in your,
on March 10th.
Somerville District Court,
Yeah,
which court?
Somerville County District Court.
right.
Did you know that Energy Futures Holdings has filed for bankruptcy in the state of Delaware over about close to a year ago?
Yeah.
And I get letters from them regularly giving me notice of needs that the court has ordered from the debtors associated with that bankruptcy. Has Somerville County participated as a debtor in the bankruptcy hearing?
That I don't know, but I do know that when you come to property taxes, it goes to the top of the pile of things that need to be paid.
It goes to the top of the pile as defined by the bankruptcy laws
Right.
of the United States, and I'm not a lawyer and don't know.
Right, right.
But has Somerville County done anything in the bankruptcy court to get their claim to the top of the pile?
Good question. I will ask. I will ask. There was the gentleman who was the head of Comanche Peak, Lance something. Do any of you know him?
Is that Lance Hall?
Lance Hall, I
Yeah,
believe.
he's a resident here.
He's a resident here. I kind of mentioned this to Lance Hall, and he shunned it aside like, well, they don't need to be paying that or something, and I'm going, okay, I know that's not going to be any help.
All right. I'd like to echo Ken's remarks. Bob, thank you for keeping this in front of us, and I think everybody on the board will support it, and we'll work with you.
Thank you, Mr. Newton. I appreciate the comments and the request for support. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board today? All right. Thank you very much for the participation. Let's go to the next item on our agenda. We have the minutes from the previous meeting to be approved by this board at this meeting. Mr. Jakely, do you have a motion for that?
Yes, Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the June 2nd meeting as written.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Same sign. Passes. The next item we have are the financials, a discussion of what our financials are doing. And our treasurer, Mr. Price, will introduce that.
Yes, I'd like to yield the floor to Mr. Bartholomew to present the financials.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Mr. President, we're going to take a look at our financials for the month ending May 31st, 2016. As soon as I turn this on. Okay, let's take a look at our revenues. First of all, on the left-hand side, we have what happened in May, and on the right-hand side, our year-to-date revenues. First of all, our operations assessment. We have 2,992 members as of May 31st. That is plus 11 net members year-to-date. So we're a little bit behind our goal. Our goal for this year is 30 in total. And so the growth, obviously, predominantly due to Orchard 12, we thought there'd be some more activity by now. So our growth is a little bit lagging behind where it should be or where we budget it to be. Communications, slight miss to plan for the month, but year-to-date, you can see we're $14,000 ahead of plan on $115,000 worth of ad revenue. Again, just shows how the job that Dale Davis does putting the columns together, does a great job. Food and beverage, we had a slow month in private parties and food and beverage, about half of our budget, so we missed plan by $3,900. Year-to-date, you can see our revenues are $12,000 ahead of our budget, $22,000 ahead of our prior year numbers. Golf had a good department. We did $25,000 in merchandise sales, so a real good month for merchandise sales in the golf shop. Green fees and cart fees were over budget. Busy month for golf, so we finished $9,000 over our budget, $12,940 year-to-date on golf revenues. Marina cooking revenue is really taking off. We did $9,000 in marina cooking revenue this month, so it was a good month for the marina. Year-to-date, $33,000 in cooking revenue on a plan of $24,000. So it's good to see that the cooking revenue down at the marina is going strong. The negative number there is because of gas sales. PPLA and CC, although we had 22 transfer fees, we had a pretty aggressive budget, so we missed plan by $2,500 for the month. Small miss to plan, $1,400 year-to-date, and we have 37 all total year-to-date. Moving on to roads and grounds, we only had 5 road maintenance fees this month, so we missed plan by $2,700. 37 year-to-date, so you can see roads and grounds is $12,000 ahead of their budget, which is good to see. And we had kind of a aggressive budget. We did have 33% occupancy, which is higher than normal. Historically, we average about 28%. Actually, year-to-date, we're 26.8%. So we missed plan both for the month and year-to-date. Security and ACC, due to sticker sales and traffic ticket revenue, both for the month, $2,000 ahead for the month, $17,000 ahead of our budget year-to-date. We have a full stables, so that's good to see. So we made our plan in stables. In sports and recreation, before the rains, we did have some good campground revenue, so we exceeded our plan for the month by $951 and $4,200 year-to-date, almost exclusively from campground revenue. So for the month, we did $575,000 in revenue, exceeded plan by $1,300, and year-to-date, $3.8 million in revenue, $53,841 ahead of our budgeted revenue. The cost of goods sold is paralleled with the revenues. Food and beverage is just about right on plan. We had a 42% cost of goods sold for food, which is good. Beer cost was a little bit higher. We've gotten a couple price increases here lately. But year-to-date, for golf, you can see because of the sales, the golf is up, and the marina is up because of the gasoline sales. On to our labor budget. We did miss our labor budget by $8,000 for the month. Food and beverage had a $5,000 miss to plan. We're having a very difficult time staffing our kitchen with cooks, as a matter of fact. It's a very, very difficult job market. You can see some of the new restaurants that have come up in town, and we're hearing that even the one down the street couldn't even open up because they couldn't find enough staff, so the hamburger restaurant down the street. So it's a continuing problem for us, so we had to incur some overtime this month, missed plan by $5,000, year-to-date $22,000. Golf spent $2,500 less than their plan for the month, $18,000 less than their plan year-to-date. Marina, due to the increased business, we spent $909 more than we had planned, but $1,500 less than our budget year-to-date. G&A is right on plan, both for the month and year-to-date. Roads and grounds, overtime, we're short-staffed. We were in May. We've since hired 3 new people, so we had to incur some overtime in roads and grounds. But year-to-date, you see, we're $3,400 ahead of our budget year-to-date. Security and ACC, let's go over the in first. That is overtime at the reception desk. Again, during May, we were suffering some short staffing situations, both for the month and year-to-date. We've incurred some overtime at the end. And security and ACC, that is due to our increased patrols. Hopefully we notice them out in the streets, but we are spending some more money as a result of that. Rest of the departments, both the stables right on plan. Sports and Rec has spent $2,500 less for the month, $10,000 less for the year. And facilities maintenance is right on plan. So predominantly because of what I just went over. We had a miss on a labor cost of $8,100 for the month. And year-to-date, a small miss to plan on $2 million in labor costs of $5,128. Other expenses, food and beverage, that was the expense for the band at the street dance. We misplan on other expenses. Year-to-date, you can see we're $6,300 ahead of plan. Marina, as you get busier, it costs more for products like paper and plastic supplies and those things. So we had a small miss to plan on the marina, and much the same year-to-date, in addition to some of the remodeling that we did down to Marina this year. G&A, we paid some our taxes. We had a tax preparer that does our income taxes. We had budgeted in another month, and that's why we have a variance of negative $2,000 this month. But you can see year-to-date we're $42,000 ahead of our plan, or we spent $42,000 less than budgeted. Roads and grounds, this was one of those years where we actually would like to spend a little bit more money, but because of the wet weather, we were not able to get out and crack seal all of our roads. Daniel has a goal of every crack every year, but this year it's just impossible. You can't crack seal during the heat, so we'll pick that up in the fall, and as it gets colder, make sure that the roads are crack sealed. Extremely important process. As the roads deteriorate and crack, if you don't crack seal them, moisture gets in the base, and that's what causes deterioration of the road bed base and ultimate failure over time. Inn had a small miss to plan just due to supplies for the inn, security and ACC, gate arms and stickers, both for the month and year-to-date. All the other departments made their plans, so for the month on other expenses, we spent $3,600 less than our plan. And year-to-date, we spent $93,254 less than our budget after May 31st. When it's all rolled up to the bottom line, the net income, you can see food and beverage had a tough month, lost $10,000 this month, $22,000 year-to-date. Marina also misplanned, but you can see year-to-date the Marina is ahead of plan by $918. That's good to see the Marina performing well. Roads and grounds had a small miss, but we're still $40,000 ahead of plan year-to-date on roads and grounds. Security, small miss this month, but $5,300 ahead of their plan year-to-date. Stables right on plan. Sports and rec considerably ahead of their plan by $23,000. G&A, because of the taxes, we missed this month, but still $43,000 ahead of our plan. And facilities maintenance is right on plan, both for the month and year-to-date. So we did have a $10,000 miss to plan for the month of May, $23,000 on a plan of 34. But year-to-date, net income as of May 31st, $236,312. That's a positive variance of $133,831. Operating forecast on the left-hand side, 7 months of actual, then our budget, 5 months of budget on the right-hand side. A variance column on the far right tells you the departments that we're anticipating will finish ahead of plan. If you don't see any brackets, that's good, that's positive. So you can see both all the departments, roads and grounds, PPLA, CC, security, communications, all expecting to exceed their plan. We're expecting a miss of nearly $30,000 in food and beverage, $9,000 in the inn, and member services right on plan. Small miss to plan at the stables of just $1,800 when it's all said and done. Sports and rec is going to have a good year, $14,000 to the positive. Facilities maintenance, we got some time left, so that $979, we'll try to make that up and make sure we hit that plan number. Pro Shop doing great, $8,300. We expect it to exceed their budget. And the golf course, we expect Michael to spend right at $613,000 on the golf course. And it was mentioned in the golf committee meeting this week that's the best they've ever seen, the condition of the golf course. So I just want to thank Michael Underwood and his staff, and it shows you if you give him a little bit more money to spend, he will put it to good use. In the marina, we're forecasting a small MISTA plan of just $1,000. All taken to the bottom line, as of October 31st, we expect the net income to be $66,867 on a plan of $2,615 for a positive variance of $64,252. On to our capital expenditure report. In progress, archery range shooting lane. Marina ice machine is installed. A couple of drainage projects and the entrance road engineering for $31,000 that we have in the works. Been a busy year for the staff and the committees. You can see all the projects that have been completed this year. Extremely active year. A lot of needed projects were completed. And where does that leave the capital fund? As we sit here today, the cash balance is $1.436 million. And we expect at the end of the year, you can see the beginning cash balance, the assessments, the $8 per month that all the residents pay, all the initiation fees that go into the capital asset reserve fund, the interest and other income that is predominantly from the insurance claim for the roofs on all of our buildings, Marina loan receivable for a total funding of $1.5 million. You can see the expenditures, just about $1 million in 16, 682 carryover, total expenditures $1.750 million, but a balance ending of nearly $1.5 million at the end of this fiscal year. Still a very healthy capital asset reserve fund. Road and drainage, currently we have $701,000 in that account. We expect by the time the fiscal year ends, $681 will be put into that account. That's the $19 that everybody pays in your assessment each month. Fund expenditures of $938. I think that number will probably be a little bit less than that. We're going to run out of time before the fiscal year ends. So the ending cash balance will be $450,000 or larger by the time we end our fiscal year of October 31st, 2016. Mr. Treasurer, Mr. President, that concludes my financial report from May 31st, 2016.
Thank you, Mr. Bartholomew. I believe Mr. Cote has a question that he'd like to ask you about.
Mr. President, Michael, first of all, I'd like to commend you for the bottom line, 133,000 positive in the total operations. But for the month, I'm looking here and I'm seeing that we were at $10,000 variance to the negative, and most of that was in payroll, mostly in labor and food and beverage. Mm-hmm. Can you explain why? Number one, we know why the sales were down, but why did we have a $5,000 increase in labor in food and beverage in that environment? I mean,
because we're short-staffed and overtime, we had to incur quite a lot of overtime in the kitchen, and that just...
Because I noticed that the cost of sales is in line with the reduced revenues, but the payroll was...
Yeah, we really need 2 more cooks in the kitchen, and because of that, we've had to incur just quite a lot of overtime, and so that's what's driving that number. So,
all right.
So we're actively looking. We've had it ad in the paper for over a month, and it's very, very difficult. We hired one individual, stayed with us a couple weeks, and just didn't show up the next day. So it's a tough market, but we'll be working on that labor cost number.
But that's not to take away that the bottom line is looking good for the year, so I think the staff should be commended for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I still have the floor, I'd like to yield it to Mr. Kamen. Dr. Kamen?
Yeah, for our capital projects, I wonder if you could talk about the damage that was done at the campgrounds and how that has affected, for example, the $32,000 investment we just made in the R3 building and so forth.
The archery building did fill up with water almost to the top. Fortunately enough, that was made with cinder block construction. So due to the help of the Archery Association and Daniel's crew, it incurred very little damage. There was some electrical equipment. The security system was damaged. We've replaced that. The worst part of it was the restrooms. The restroom walls, all the walls have to be replaced, all 10 walls. The electrical boxes at the campsites had to be replaced. So all in all, we fared quite well. Daniel's reestablishing the trail down there, and so we're back operational. The campground is open, but the restrooms aren't fully functional until we get the doors in and install those. So total cost in the neighborhood of $2,000 is all. That's all. So we, all in all, we came out quite well.
Well, Mr. Bartholomew, I'd like to commend you and your staff, because based on the operational forecast, after 7 months, I think the probability of heading ahead of schedule, or the budget is going to be, probability is quite good, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer.
Anything else, Dan? All right. Thank you very much for the report.
You're welcome, Mr.
Bartholomew. The next item on our agenda is old business, and we don't have any to conduct this month. So we'll go into the next item, is new business, and we do have a couple of items there. The first is an AFE, 160205, having to do with the Westover diversion design. That's involved with drainage, and we need a motion to approve that AFE.
Mr. President, I move that we approve AFE 16-02-05, which is for the Westover diversion design. This is for an amount of $15,800 for the design and preparation of the bidding documents for this work.
All right, sir, thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chakley. Any discussion regarding this?
Yeah, just a few brief remarks. This project is one of several that we're going to improve our drainage situation in our community. And it's vital that we do these projects for the preservation of our road infrastructure. If we don't do these projects, the risk of damage, irreparable damage to our roads is quite high. This particular project is a diversion or for a drainage through on Westover out on the other side of the river. Daniel, I don't know if you have any further details.
I'd like to comment just then, please, also. Yeah. If you've been paying attention, and you probably have if you drive around, you see most of our drainage work has been taking things sort of to the bottom side of the river that way, and that's because the plan was you got to get it below before you fill the upper half, fix the upper half, otherwise it backs up. So this is the first attempt to divert about 20% of the water that normally would go below to that side, to the south side, by diverting it instead to the north up into the north side of the Brazos River. And it was something our engineers suggested as a way to take pressure off of Wedgefield Road and the water we get in that area that goes through the course. So, but this is just for the design. The project will come in below more at a higher cost. That's all.
Mr. President, I have a comment here I'd like to make. Number one, I've been attending some of these committee meetings that are addressing these issues. And I want to commend especially Mr. Van Patten, Dan back there. He's on top of this, and I'm impressed with the knowledge that he brings to the committees in informing us on the details of these things. So I'm confident that these things are being looked at professionally in a timely way. So good job, Dan.
Thank you very much. I think the board would second that comment. Thank you, Mr. Van Patten. Anything else? All right, we'll have a vote on this recommendation and the motion. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand, and those opposed by the same sign. The motion carries. We'll go to the next issue. This is a resolution to develop a ballot for the Fitness and Wellness Center. I believe that we'll have a presentation of the motion by Mr. Chaney.
Thanks, Mr. President. This is for Board Resolution 16-07-001, and we're asking the Board for a resolution to approve the placement on the ballot in March to invite the membership to consider the construction and then operation of the Fitness and Wellness Center.
Thank you, Mr. Kamen. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kreis. Any other discussion?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to recognize the attendance here of the chairman of the fitness subcommittee, Lorraine McKay, and her husband, Hardy Borland, and also Jimmy and Eric De La Garza, who are on that fitness and wellness committee, whose help has been very welcomed. The committee meets almost every week, and they are charged with developing a plan to present to the membership the opportunity to create a fitness and wellness center here. They have a plan that will include town hall meetings. The membership will receive a paper trifold flyer in the mail, along with the September bill, explaining much of what is planned and answering several of the questions that might arise. Paramount to this project would be funding. There are two issues that will appear on the ballot as we plan. Now, the language is still to be developed. The first issue is actually the funding for construction. And we have a good projection of cost made in concert by the fitness committee that worked on it, and the long-range planning group that worked on the funding, to come up with a projection of about $1.8 million for construction. And those funds will come from the capital asset fund through a financing plan that was conceived by, now it's not clear whether the finance committee did it or long-range planning did it or Janet did it, but we have a plan that would provide us a favorable funding process. Dan, if you want to talk to that right now, I'd appreciate it.
Yes. Last year, the committee year 2014-15, Janice Shefsky and Bob Simsky of the Long Range Planning did a thorough and complete analysis that appears in the report that was published May 1st, 2015. So it's, thank you, Janice, for.
So that will be one part of the ballot, and that is approval for construction. Coming from the Capital Asset Reserve Fund, it's anticipated that the membership will not have to increase their dues in any way for them. The second,
Mr. Kamen, just a quick question for Mr. Kreis. Is that long-range plan available for the membership to review?
Yes, it's still available on the network. I mean, our website.
Okay, and there's models in there that
Yes.
indicate the repayment and that sort of thing.
Yeah, the capital cost for the project emerged out of the fitness center subcommittee. 2014, in June of 2014, and that number was analyzed and used in the analysis that appeared a year later in the long-range planning. Also, I might just add that those same numbers appeared in a trifold folder that was sent out to membership last year about, when was that, around June, Janice, something like that, and was also the basis of the descriptions of the fitness center in the member survey that was conducted last fall. Two of those numbers also appeared there.
Good, thank you.
Mr. President, can I have one moment here?
Yes.
As I understand it, this resolution that we're discussing right now does not include or does not have the funding included in this. I mean, we're going to
That's true.
determine how this is going to be funded at a later date. Is that right, Bob?
Well, it's a funding plan that we're asking the membership to approve. The resolution is just simply to put that before the membership. And so if the membership approves it, and it'll be two parts, and I haven't got to the second part yet, it'll be two parts. So the first part is construction, and that's what we've been talking about, where that money is coming from. And then the second part will be for operations.
I got you. But this resolution today is not taking that into consideration. We're going to be discussing this.
This is just to put the question before the membership on that ballot.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
The second question on the ballot is for operations, and through a thorough analysis of the operation of a fitness center of this magnitude, with the features that it will include, and this was done by Keith Kesselman and some of the committee members. It's projected it will cost about $12,000 a month, and so projecting that out, it will be it can be paid for by a $4 assessment for the entire membership. And as we will explain in great detail through the town hall meetings, the flyer, any opportunities that we have to interact with the membership, we have elected to propose to the membership a $4 assessment to be added to our monthly bill for everyone, rather than user fees. User fees would actually, in fact, cost us more in trying to keep up with a changing membership. It will create a situation where management will be chasing members each month. And so it was felt that that would be a uneconomical way to fund the operation of the fitness wellness center. So the second part of the question proposed to the membership on the March ballot will be to approve a $4 increase in our monthly assessment. That will require a supermajority, and so that is a challenge for this community, but we feel like the benefit to the community at a minimal cost will be worth it. We think that the community will provide us with a positive outcome. So what I'm asking for, the motion today is for the board to approve a resolution to place this before the membership on the March ballot.
Mr. Kamen, question for you. We're planning to ask Ms. Shefsky to update our models on the acquisition of the physical structure, as well as the information on, if we see any changes, then that will be updated. Is that right?
Okay, changes in, I'm sorry.
Any changes in what you've talked about right here?
Well, we are pretty secure in our cost projections. I don't anticipate any changes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But, okay, all right, I appreciate
I
it.
might add to that, the construction cost was developed in 2014, but there were escalation factors applied to that out to 2017. So that number that appears that for the construction has been, is taken into account the future construction of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so those numbers are pretty up to date.
Yeah.
If we move this before the membership in 2017, those numbers are projected to be valid. And so we get approval, construction would start sometime in 2017, and the doors would open sometime in 2018. And for those that don't know, the location of the center will be behind the PAC to take advantage of PAC parking and then PAC staff management and some of the pass-through plumbing opportunities that we would not otherwise have if it were located somewhere else. So a lot of thought has been gone into the planning and development of this project.
Mr. President, a comment. You mentioned that the financing display is in the long-range plan. If you go to the website into Owners Association Long-Range Plan and look at the Annex B1, is where all the financial data while it was done a year ago is there. And again, I want to remind the membership that, and we've said it a couple of times, but this is just to put the item on the ballot. One of the approaches in the time I've been on the board is if we have certain things that we often sit around and talk about for years, that boy, it'd be nice to have this or nice to have that, or we survey, the ultimate attempt is to give the members of the community an attempt to say, yeah, we really do want that. You know, a lot of times they say, I sure like a new car, but then say, well, how much does it cost? I don't want one of those. I like my old one. Well, this is an attempt to provide the membership an opportunity to tell us what they want to do. And they've done a lot of planning, and you'll see a lot of good promotion publicity. And so just, stand by and wait and see, and then in March you'll get an opportunity to vote for it. And it will be a first-class facility.
All right, sure. Thank you, Ms. Jakely. Anything else?
I have two more things to mention. There has been some discussion about whether or not it's appropriate to use the Capital Reserve Fund for a new amenity. The fact is that yes, it is, based on the action that was taken by the board in 2002.
2002.
It is appropriate to use part of the Capital Reserve Fund for that. Also, interestingly, when we hit 3,000 members here, which is imminent,
We hope.
there is a second action in Lemmo allowing us to use Capital Reserve for new amenities. So it's not, while a portion of it is reserved for the maintenance of current amenities, that fund is the place to go for new amenities as well. So I'd like to put that to rest. The other thing is that based on Bob Newton's presentation to us about the jeopardy that Glenrose Hospital is in, we are counting on their rehab center that is currently in the village to work with us in introducing wellness programs and individual wellness activities so that people who are using the Glenrose Rehabilitation Center, when they're ready to go out on their own, their physical therapists will literally walk their people across the street into the new fitness and wellness center and introduce them to our equipment where they can continue their rehabilitation programs on their own without supervision. So we've created this synergy, and now I'm really hoping that continues, and we can get this funding problem and tax problem resolved with the nuclear plant. So keep your fingers crossed for that part.
Mr. Maurer?
In the past, the association was limited on things that might be considered competition with the entities, which maybe in the limbo. Is this fitness center going to be, have we got a legal opinion that it will not be in competition with the existing fitness facility at the Nutcracker?
Yes, we have.
I can answer that. The only competition prohibition is in the real estate business. That's as far as the legal opinion we've been given. is that we're prohibited from competing with the Anthonys by entering into the real estate, real property business. So it does not compete.
All right, sir, thank you. We have a motion and a second, and we've had considerable discussion to approve BR 16-07-001, which again is to develop a ballot for the Fitness and Wellness Center to be voted upon in our next annual meeting next spring. And that's the purpose of this resolution, that we're going to put it to the membership for their approval or disapproval. We do have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Opposed by the same sign. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 7, committee management recommendations requiring board action. We have one today. That is DCR RR 1604-001, and it has to do with the tea time cancellation notices. I believe that we'll have a motion from Mr. Carnes.
Mr. Chairman, yes, I want to make a motion that we approve the document change request RR 16-04-001 that changes the requirements for members in making tea times on the 4 teas and cancellation of those tea times.
Mr. President, I second.
All right, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. We have a motion and a second for that motion. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to provide a little more information. Currently, we allow members to cancel their tea times 2 hours prior to tea time. So if they have a 9 o'clock tea time, they can call in at 7 and cancel. In an environment where so many players are wanting to get on the golf course, it really doesn't give other members the opportunity to see that the tea time has been canceled and then go into 4 teas and get to play golf. And that's why a lot of people wanted to play. So we've looked at this. The decision is we're going to change that cancellation from a 2-hour time to 1 hour. So if you're not going to play golf, you have to cancel at least 1 hour ahead of time. That's a change for golfers. It just allows us to get more golfers on the golf course, which is better.
Mr. It's going to be the opposite way, Mr.
Oh, excuse me. From 1 hour to 2 hours.
Yes.
Change it from a 1 hour cancellation to a 2 hour cancellation.
All right, sir.
Same logic. If we open it to 2 hours, we can get people in to use the time.
Yeah. Any other discussion? I'll make a comment.
Get a second.
I beg your pardon?
Did you get a second? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got it.
second
Okay.
comment.
Okay.
I've made use of that facility on the tea times where I would go in, I'd decide late that I wanted to play golf that morning and go into the 4T system and be able to locate a time where someone has canceled. Giving us a little bit longer period, twice as long, to make that cancellation. I think we'll get more people on the course. So I think it's important. We have a motion. We have a second. We've had discussion. Any other questions? We'll have a vote for this motion. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. And those opposed, same sign. And the motion passes. We're at the point where we have the management report presented by Mr. Bartholomew. Would you do that, please, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I'd like to thank Brenda Palmer, Chair of the Sports and Rec Committee, her committee, and all the volunteers for hard work during the parade last weekend. The biggest parade ever. Special thank you to board members Bob Cote, Doug Green, and Beth Franson, who judged the entries. There were 75 golf carts, 18 miscellaneous entries, and 18 bikes. So it was a great parade, great street dance, and that takes a lot of work. So thank you to everybody that was a part of that. This weekend, we have a golf cart drive-in movie on July 8th at 8:45 p.m. at the PAC. Star Wars: The Force Awakens is the movie. Great for kids or grandkids to come out, bring a golf cart up. And then on July 22nd, the movie Inside Out will be showing also 8:45 at the PAC. Of course, the association is extremely busy with all sorts of camps. Our second session of the golf, tennis, and swim camp will take place next week. In addition to that, there's tennis camps going on, art camps, volleyball camps, swim lessons. See the PAC, the tennis, and archery pages in the columns for more information. We're very excited to have the return of the Missoula Children's Theater with the production Blackbeard the Pirate this year. Will take place July 25th through July 30th. They can take a maximum of 60 kids from first grade all the way up to 12th grade. The auditions will take place July 25th at 10 a.m. Auditions will then continue through the week with 2 performances on Saturday, July 30th at 3 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. As Mr. President mentioned, pickleball continues to grow, and if you look at the columns, there is an article by Mr. Miles Broughton, who is the president of the PPPA, Pecan Plantation Pickleball Association. So we have a new association, and it's growing rapidly. As was mentioned earlier, we do have one outdoor court by the tennis building, and there are plans in the long-range plan to add 4 more outdoor courts, date yet to be determined. Looking ahead, you may have noticed the Mardi Gras float that was the entertainment committee decorated. Make plans early, and I know it's a long ways away. January 28th, 2017. The theme this year will be movies, so you can think of your favorite movie, and that will be each crew will decorate their table in a movie theme. So that grows every year, and I'm sure it will grow this year. A couple staffing updates. We have promoted, we have an internal posting procedure when a job comes open. Brett Fodder left us as our marina manager. He went over to work at the power plant, and we promoted John Rogers out of the kitchen, and he is now our new marina manager, and Brett's coming in at night and training him and getting him ready to go, and very happy. He's excited. He's been around marinas his whole life, and it was real good to give him an opportunity to promote for promotion and to get a little bit more responsibility. Also, Aaron Reed. Aaron's a great example of just somebody that's really used the internal posting process. He started out at the front desk, then he took a position upstairs in our accounting office, went back downstairs as manager of the reception area in the inn, and now we've promoted him to a new position, Director of Member Services. So in addition to having front desk supervisor and inn responsibilities, his main focus will be the promotion of events to enhance the overall member satisfaction. And so you'll see over the coming months, it's going to take some time, but we're going to create a Facebook page and really try to engage the members and get some more activities, but more importantly, let the members know in a real-time basis exactly what's going on tonight. You may even get an email, text messages. We're talking about all sorts of increased communication ideas, and we're getting assistance from our communications committee. Our new clubhouse trail is now open. The signage is signage up, Daniel? Tomorrow the signage will be up on our new clubhouse trail located behind the clubhouse at the putting green. Thanks to Daniel Van Patten and his crew for all the hard work. It was quite a task clearing out the trail. There are a couple benches a few years ago. That was a Boy Scout Eagle project, and so there's a couple places to rest down on the trail, very scenic views, and you'll come out right by number 10 tee box, and you'll be able to walk back to the clubhouse. Also, we're doing a little cleanup work and actually widening the Brazos River Trail. So Daniel's down there doing a little regrading and adding some mulch and making that trail even better than it was before. So enjoy the remainder of the summer and all the activities we have planned, And one more thing, we are going to have a karaoke night in this room, in the ballroom, on July 23rd, and Mr. Castellan will have some brand new speakers, so it should be a very festive evening. If you've never been to a karaoke night, this will be a good one to come to. I'm sure it will be quite a fun evening. And Mr. President, that concludes my management report for this month.
Mr. President, one question.
Yes.
Did our departing employee go to the gas plant or the nuclear plant?
He went to the nuclear plant.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate the
I'd like to just make a comment too. Weekend, this place was jammed for the, I'm not a golfer, but they had a mixed doubles golf tournament. And there were golf carts here from everywhere, and the 19th hole was jammed, which meant that the upstairs dining areas were busy. And that's the good news, but I noticed that it's still problematic getting food downstairs. So, I mean, I guess, I don't know if that's bad news, because if they're waiting for food, they're drinking the food. But really, we have our a new House and Food and Beverage Committee working on problems like that, trying to create better mechanisms for moving food from the kitchen downstairs. But you would have been amazed at all the people that were here. It was really great.
Thank you very much. That's a comment I hear quite frequent. A lot of times when we attend these meetings or events, we look at the good things and how much we're enjoying them. We're enjoying those. But there's always staff members and other employees behind the scenes making sure that that happens, and that's very much appreciated. One further comment. I got a chance to meet John Rogers a couple of days ago, and nice young man. I think he'll do a good job for us. He's pretty much up to date on the marina already, but he was pointing out things, at the marina, and I don't know how many times Mr. Hartman's name came up in the conversation, but I think it's worthwhile to recognize the work that Joe's done the last couple of years. You've done a great job, and we appreciate it very much. And I think you were out there doing power washing a couple of days ago, is that right? Get rid of all the spiders and cobwebs? That's great. We appreciate it. Thank you again. Any other business to discuss? All right. This meeting is adjourned.